I'm about to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. The dating rules you grew up with? They're not just outdated. They're actually hurting your chances at finding love today. And if you're over 50, this matters more than you think. Here's what nobody wants to admit. The world of relationships has transformed so dramatically in the past 30 years that what worked for your parents, or even what worked for you in your 20s, will leave you completely lost today. But here's the good news. Once you understand these changes, you can actually use them to your advantage. Let me start with the most shocking change. The 3-day rule is dead. You know that rule where you wait 3 days before calling someone after a first date? It was supposed to make you seem less desperate, more mysterious. Today, if you wait 3 days, the other person assumes you're not interested and they've already moved on. In the age of instant communication, silence doesn't create mystery. It creates anxiety and misunderstanding. Think about it this way. When you were young, making a phone call was a deliberate act. You had to be home. You had to hope they were home. There was anticipation built into the system. Now, everyone carries a phone in their pocket. Messages are read within minutes. The pace of communication has accelerated, and relationship expectations have accelerated with it. If you enjoyed someone's company, letting them know the next day isn't desperate. It's normal. It's respectful. It shows genuine interest in a world where people have endless options. But here's where it gets really interesting. The second major shift is about exclusivity. When you were dating in your 20s or 30s, going on a date with someone usually meant you weren't seeing other people. There was an unspoken assumption of exclusivity from the very beginning. That assumption no longer exists. Today, people date multiple people simultaneously until they have an explicit conversation about becoming exclusive. This isn't about being unfaithful or dishonest. It's simply how modern dating works. Why did this change happen? Because meeting people became infinitely easier. In your day, you met potential partners through work, church, friends, or maybe at a bar. Your pool of options was limited by geography and social circles. Dating apps changed everything. Suddenly, you can meet hundreds of potential matches in your area. The abundance of choice fundamentally altered how people approach dating. They keep their options open longer because they can. Understanding this doesn't mean you have to like it, but it does mean you need to adapt. If you want exclusivity, you need to have that conversation explicitly. Don't assume it. Don't hint at it. State it clearly. Now let's talk about something that really throws people from older generations. The third change is about splitting the bill. The expectation that men always pay for dates has largely disappeared. Yes, many men still offer to pay, and many women appreciate it. But the automatic assumption is gone. Today, offering to split the bill or taking turns paying is seen as a sign of equality and respect, not a lack of chivalry. This shift reflects broader changes in society. Women have financial independence that previous generations often lacked. Many women actually feel uncomfortable when someone insists on paying for everything because it can create a sense of obligation or power imbalance. If you're a man who was raised to always pay, understand that offering is still appreciated, but insisting might actually make some women uncomfortable. If you're a woman who expects men to always pay, you might be limiting your dating pool to people who hold more traditional views. Neither approach is wrong, but knowing that expectations have changed helps you navigate these situations with grace. The fourth major shift is about physical intimacy and its timing. The old rule was simple. Wait. Wait as long as possible. Physical intimacy was something you earned through time and commitment. Today, the timeline is entirely individual and negotiated between two people. Some people are intimate on the first date. Others wait months. Neither approach is considered more or less valid. What matters is that both people are comfortable and consenting. This change can be particularly jarring for people who grew up with strict rules about intimacy. You might feel like modern dating is too casual, too fast, too lacking in romance. But here's what's actually happening. People are making individual choices based on their own values rather than following societal scripts. Some people still wait. Some don't. The key is communication and respect for boundaries. If you prefer to wait, say so clearly. If someone pressures you to move faster than you're comfortable with, that's a red flag regardless of what era you're living in. Your values don't have to change, but your expectations of others might need to adjust. Let me tell you about the fifth change, and this one surprises almost everyone. Meeting online is now the most common way couples get together. More than meeting through friends. More than meeting at work or school. More than meeting at bars or social events. Online dating has become the primary way people find romantic partners. If you're single and over 50, refusing to try online dating is like refusing to use a telephone in 1980. You're making things unnecessarily difficult for yourself. I know what you're thinking. Online dating feels artificial. It feels unsafe. It feels like giving up on finding someone the natural way. But here's the reality. Online dating is simply a tool for meeting people you wouldn't otherwise encounter. What happens after that first message is entirely up to you. The relationships that form from online meetings are just as real, just as meaningful, and statistically just as successful as relationships that start any other way. The stigma around online dating has almost completely disappeared among younger generations. It's time for older generations to let go of that stigma too. The sixth change is about living together before marriage. In previous generations, living together before marriage was scandalous. It suggested a lack of commitment or moral looseness. Today, living together before marriage is not just accepted, it's expected. The vast majority of couples live together before getting married, and many people won't even consider marriage without a trial period of cohabitation first. Why the shift? Because divorce rates taught younger generations to be cautious. They watched their parents' generation divorce at unprecedented rates and decided they wanted more information before making a lifelong commitment. Living together reveals things that dating never could. How does someone handle stress at home? How do they manage money? How do they handle household responsibilities? Are you compatible in daily life, not just on dates? These questions matter, and living together answers them. If you're dating someone who wants to live together before marriage, understand that this isn't a rejection of commitment. It's actually a desire to make sure the commitment will last. Now here's the seventh change, and it's a big one. Gender roles in relationships have become far more fluid and negotiable. The assumption that men should be providers and women should be homemakers has largely disappeared. Today, couples negotiate their roles based on their individual strengths, preferences, and circumstances. Sometimes the woman earns more. Sometimes the man does more housework. Sometimes both people work and share responsibilities equally. There's no single template anymore. This flexibility can be liberating, but it also requires more communication. You can't just fall into predetermined roles. You have to discuss and decide together how your relationship will function. Who handles finances? Who does the cooking? Who makes social plans? Nothing is assumed. Everything is negotiated. If you're used to traditional roles, this might feel chaotic. But it also means you can create a relationship that actually fits your life instead of forcing yourself into a mold that doesn't work for you. The eighth change is about communication itself. Relationships today require far more explicit verbal communication than they used to. In the past, people relied heavily on unspoken understandings and social scripts. You knew what was expected because everyone followed the same general pattern. Today, with so much variation in how people approach relationships, you have to talk about everything. What are you looking for? What are your boundaries? What are your expectations? What are your deal breakers? These conversations happen early and often. For people who grew up in an era where discussing feelings was uncomfortable or even discouraged, this can feel overwhelming. But here's the truth. Explicit communication prevents misunderstandings. It builds stronger foundations. It ensures both people are on the same page. If you struggle with these conversations, start small. Practice saying what you want and need. Practice asking questions. It gets easier with time, and it dramatically improves your chances of finding a compatible partner. The ninth change is about social media and digital presence. Your online presence now plays a significant role in dating. People will look you up on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn before or after a first date. What they find matters. Your photos, your posts, your friends, your interests. All of it contributes to their impression of you. This might feel invasive if you're not used to it, but it's the new reality. Here's what you need to know. You don't have to be extremely active on social media, but you should have some presence. A completely absent online presence can actually raise red flags. People wonder what you're hiding. Make sure your photos are current and represent who you actually are. Clean up any posts that don't reflect well on you. Think of your social media profiles as an extension of your first impression. You wouldn't show up to a date in pajamas, so don't let your online presence be sloppy either. The 10th and final change is perhaps the most important. The timeline for relationships has completely shifted. In previous generations, people often married young, had children quickly, and stayed together regardless of happiness because divorce was stigmatized and economically difficult, especially for women. Today, people prioritize personal happiness and compatibility. They're willing to leave relationships that aren't working. They're willing to stay single longer to find the right person. They're willing to marry later or not at all. This shift means that the pressure to settle down quickly has diminished. If you're dating in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, you don't need to rush. You don't need to compromise on fundamental compatibility just because you're worried about being alone. Take your time. Be selective. Look for someone who genuinely enhances your life. The old fear of being left on the shelf doesn't apply anymore. People are finding love at every age, and they're doing it on their own timeline. So how do you adapt to all these changes? Start by letting go of judgment. The way things are done now isn't better or worse than how they were done before. They're just different. Approach modern dating with curiosity instead of criticism. Ask questions. Be willing to learn. Be willing to adjust your expectations while staying true to your core values. Second, embrace technology. Download a dating app. Learn how to use it. Ask a younger friend or family member for help if you need it. Yes, it will feel strange at first. Everything new feels strange. But millions of people have found meaningful relationships through these platforms. You can too. Third, communicate explicitly. Say what you want. Say what you need. Say what you're uncomfortable with. Don't assume the other person knows. Don't rely on hints. Clear communication is the most important skill in modern dating, and it's never too late to develop it. Fourth, be yourself. With so many options available, trying to be what you think someone wants is exhausting and ultimately unsuccessful. The right person will appreciate who you actually are. Be honest about your age, your interests, your lifestyle. You'll attract people who are genuinely compatible with you. Finally, remember that the fundamental core of relationships hasn't changed. People still want connection. They still want companionship. They still want someone who understands them, supports them, and cares about them. The methods for finding that person have changed. The timeline has changed. The rules have changed. But the human need for love and partnership remains exactly the same. You're not too old to find it. You just need to understand the new landscape and navigate it with confidence and openness. Love at any age is possible. You just need to know the new rules of the game.